Hello, Internet. It is I, Malik Aaron, and welcome back to Box Office Recap. So, April 2025, how was it? Well, as you probably know, the first quarter of 2025 was no good, to say the least. January and February were mixed bags at best, but March, that was a travesty. It was so aggressively awful that whole month. Like, you're next to no positives. So it kind of, led to this, doom and gloom narrative that happens, every once in a while at the box office where it feels like nothing's working, nothing's popping off, nothing is clicking. We saw that last year around the same time in April of last year. But this year, things were different, very different. In fact, April was not awful. It was spectacular, actually. It was the month 2025 needed desperately because things were so aggressively negative. And man, it feels good to have a month that exceeds expectations. It really does feel good. And those expectations being exceeded, that was because of mainly two movies. One that everyone expected, a Minecraft movie, but also one that people didn't really expect all that much. And that movie being Sinners. So Warner Brothers, despite having a horrible March with Mickey 17 and Also Nights both bombing hard, they dominated April entirely. And it wasn't even just them. Like, there were quite a few movies that did decent business for what they were. And as a result, it led to 2025's strongest month by a wide margin. So yeah, let's go through April. So as usual, we're going to be going. I'm going to compare my own personal predictions to what actually happened, and let's get started. So April 4th, quite a lot happened this weekend. Like, nearly all of it's irrelevant compared to like the real story. But might as well start with Hell of a Summer, which I mentioned how weird this is coming out in April when the movie's called Hell of a Summer. You think it would have come out during a summer month, but whatever. So opening weekend for this, I predicted, God, I don't remember. Legit don't. I think it may have been like 1 to 2 million, something like that. Found total like 3 to 4. I couldn't tell you. Well, it made 1.7 million opening weekend, made 3 million total. So yeah, pretty underwhelming, to say the least. It pretty much vanished after like 2 weeks. I mean, I'm not super surprised. Reviews for this were real mixed, and it just people just didn't really care all that much. So kind of an L for Neon, but they have some other movies, up this year that'll more than likely do better than this. So it's not gonna hurt anyone like in the long run, but I'd definitely call it a miss. So yeah. So that was Hell of a Summer. Next we have Luckiest Man in America. I predicted an opening week of, I think it was like 500K or less. Final total like a million or something. Didn't hit that at all. Not even close. Only opened with 284K. It disappeared after week two. Only made 433K. Literally nothing to say. This movie's probably forgotten about already, so let's move on. Okay, the big movie of April. You know what it is, a Minecraft movie. Okay, so when this movie was coming out, as you know, when the first trailer dropped, reaction was quite bad. It was very similar to how the internet reacted to the first Sonic movie trailer. The infamous one with Sonic's original movie design. Okay, it wasn't quite as bad as that, but it was still predominantly negative because the fact that this was a live action movie, in this big CGI world, and you have like Jack Black's Steve, and people were just like, "What the hell is this?" That was how it started. And normally that would spell doom for the movie because that negativity would just persist all the way up till it, released. But something weird happened. That negativity, after a while, it kind of just went away and was instead replaced with hype from the core audience. The core audience being people who play Minecraft, all the Gen Zers who play Minecraft. And the more they saw this movie, the more they're like, you know what? Maybe this movie won't be total trash. It has enough references, enough lore to keep me satisfied. And so when the movie was coming out, like the initial like tracking was like 60 mil, 60, 70 mil. But as the movie got closer to release, that number started to balloon, started to go higher and higher and higher until it reached like a fever pitch before release. So because of that, I predicted an opening weekend of like 130 to 150 mil opening weekend. I found total like 400 to 500 mil. Well, that 130, 150 wasn't quite high enough because it opened to 162.7 million, by far and away the biggest opening of 2025 for any video game movie, as this was able to beat out the Super Mario Brothers movie from 2 years ago. And it's one of the biggest openings ever for, Warner Brothers as well. And I was just like, good, god damn. I was like, shit, like, I was kind of amazed. But I should have saw this coming, honestly. I mean, I saw this movie. Yes, I did. I went to the theater and I paid a ticket and I sat down and watched this because I felt like it was gonna be like the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. It was gonna be. I was here for the experience, not for the quality of the movie. I was there for the experience, and boy, it was an experience. All right, literally, the audience I was with were, they were locked in. Okay, me not being like a Minecraft fan. I mean, I don't hate Minecraft. I just don't play it. I sat there and like was watching, kind of like analyzing the audience to how they were reacting. And man, they reacted to any bit of lore that popped on screen, any reference that popped on screen, they applauded. I'm dead serious. You probably know the infamous phrase, lava chicken, chicken jockey. That those two words are gonna haunt movie theater employees for the rest of their days. Let me tell you. And just any bit of Minecraft lore popped on screen, my audience was just all for it. And to think my audience was tame compared to the others I've heard about and seen, because holy shit, like this movie did something to people. Like people just kind of went crazy. They kind of lost their minds. I mean, you have people throwing popcorn at the screen. You have someone bringing an actual chicken for the chicken jockey scene. It was fucking madness, and I couldn't believe it. I was just like, I couldn't believe a Minecraft movie could do this to people. I never thought it would have that type of effect on people, but here we are. So, yeah, that was a wild time, and its legs have been all right, decent enough. It's still at number three at the box office, even like 6 weeks after release. So it's now hit over 400 million. So it's reached my final prediction, final total, and it's now made 900 million. I don't think it will make a billion. I don't think it has the juice to make it to a billion, but at this point, it doesn't matter. This movie is a very much a smash hit. A blockbuster, literally. And will it get a sequel? You're damn right it'll get a sequel. There's no way Warner Brothers will look at this and be like, you know what? We're good. No, they see a franchise just like how Paramount saw a franchise with Sonic. Same thing's gonna happen here. So I expect a Minecraft movie 2 to be announced, properly announced, anytime, really. So probably in the next few months. I can't imagine it'll take too long for them to make it. They'll probably want to fast track it. But yeah, Minecraft movie was the big winner of April, the big winner of 2025. This will definitely be one of the biggest movies of 2025. And yeah, it was, and quality wise, well, it was a Minecraft movie, so I wasn't expecting, greatness, and I didn't get greatness. I was just like, well, that was a movie I watched. It was, I guess, kind of enjoyable, mainly because of Jack Black and Jason Momoa, like those two. I think they made the movie watchable. And yeah, it was just a movie I watched. But the main attraction was like the audience reaction, the audience around me. They made the movie more enjoyable rather than if I'd watched it alone. So yeah, but Minecraft movie, just it was what 2025 needed. And it was a movie I did not expect to be a mega blockbuster, but here we are. Yeah. And then we also got like The Friend, which came out the same weekend. I think I predicted an opening weekend of like, God, I think it was 1 million or so. Final total of like 2 million, maybe. It doesn't matter. Opened with like 1.6 million and made 3.8 million total. Just what you would expect from like a small, very small movie like this. Disappeared after a few weeks, and yeah, nothing really to say about it. So that's how April started. April started off with a huge bang, and then April 11th, well, things went right back down to earth. But actually, I might as well mention The Chosen, since I forgot to mention it before. So it actually started back in like late March with The Last Supper Part 1 right here. So I'll talk about that very quickly. Opened with like 11.8 million. I was like, wow, that's really impressive. Right? It made like 20 million total. And then you got Part 2, which didn't do as well. There was a very noticeable drop off, as it only opened with like basically 7 million. It only made like 12 million total. And then, if we go back, then we got Part 3, which did slightly worse, opened with like 6 million and making 11 million total. So, yeah, but this isn't like a normal like movie. It's the show, but it cut up to be like a theatrical release. So as like this 3-part release strategy, I say it went pretty darn well. I mean, combined, that's what, 20, that was like 40 mil between the 3 movies. So I say it was definitely a success. Then there's also like the re-release of like Princess Mononoke. I think that's how you say it. I probably messed that up. They had a re-release. It was in originally like an IMAX re-release, like a 4K IMAX re-release, and did great. Of like 3.8 million, in late March, and then had a wide release after that. It just fell off after that, but still, they're very impressive for what it is. So yeah, that's all like the specialty releases that I didn't make prediction videos for. I felt like I had to like talk about them. Now all the other movies that I actually made prediction videos for. So first, The Amateur. Okay, so I predicted an opening weekend of like 15 million, final total of like 40, 50 mil. It hit 14.8, so I was close. And its legs have been just meh. And it's now made 38.9 million. It's about 39 million. So maybe another weekend and I'll probably hit the 40 million mark, which isn't great considering the movie costs like 60 mil. It's worldwide total of 90 million. Still not great. But I'm not super shocked that it didn't really pop off, because I saw the trailer and it just looked kind of generic to me. It just looked kind of like a movie that you're probably better off just watching like on, when it hits streaming or something. But I guess it could have been worse. Could have been quite a bit worse, actually. I mean, say like this weekend when like Shadow Force came out, only opened like what, $2 million. So yeah, there's definitely um a worse scenario this movie could have fell into, but it just did financially. Not a huge flop, but underwhelming would be a better term. So yeah, that's the amateur. And the same can apply to drop. And with drop, it kind of upsets me a little bit because I did watch this movie. I was the only one there. Lol. Literally, just me. I watched it and I thought it was quite good. I thought, the movie was, I thought was quite engaging. And I really enjoyed it. And it kind of hurt that no one else gave a damn about it, which resulted in me making a prediction of 7 million for its opening weekend. I found a total like 20 million. It made 7.3 million, but its legs have just not been very good. And it's pretty much dead now. Only making 16.5 million, made 28 million worldwide. It cost 11 million, so it's not a loss. But still, I mean, this is from I gotta like expand. Okay, this is from like Blumhouse. They can do way, way, way better than this. And it's like their third underperformed movie they had this year. First there was Wolfman, then there was Woman in the Yard, and now there's this Drop. And all like the high point for all these movies is like 20 million domestic. And keep in mind, Truth or Dare, which came out in 2018, a movie that was panned by a lot of people, that opened to $18 million. So what's the excuse? Right? And this had quality to on its side, unlike Wolfman and Woman in the Yard. So this kind of tells me the Blumhouse name just might be box office poison at this point. And if that's the case, then Megan 2.0 is in serious trouble. But we'll see how that does. I would be shocked if it performed on par with like the other Blumhouse movies recently, because they haven't had a big hit since Five Nights at Freddy's like 2 years ago. But Megan 2.0 could break their cold streak or it could prolong it. I don't know. But yeah, something, Blumhouse, they got to do something because this is starting to become a real problem. But yeah, Drop, I believe, deserved better. And it might develop a cult following, eventually. But yeah, it definitely deserved better. And then we got King of Kings, which ended up being like the big movie of the weekend. So with this, I predicted an opening weekend of like, God, I forgot. I think it was 18 million. Yeah, 18 million. And a final total, I had a wide range between like 50 and 100 million because I didn't know how long its life was going to be. I didn't know it was going to be like brutally front loaded or it was going to, go above and beyond. I didn't know because this is from like Angel Studios and like their only like big, blockbuster movie they've had before this was Sound of Freedom, a movie that I didn't even know was coming out until like it just appeared out of nowhere and then shocked everybody at the box office, became one of the biggest hits of the year domestically. So because of that and the fact that this movie was doing like really like abnormally strong in pre-sales, I was thinking, okay, maybe I should have a wide range. And when this movie came out and opened with 19.3 million, I was like, okay, that's pretty good. That's a rather strong result. Okay. And its second weekend fell 9%. And normally that'd be like, holy shit, that's amazing. You expect it to like really go places. And then as you can see, it just fell off the face of the earth after Easter, which I expected somewhat because this movie being, about Jesus coming out before Easter, that was a very smart decision. And then it was able to benefit from Easter weekend. But once Easter was over, the movie became automatically irrelevant. And that resulted in these large drop-offs. But for Angel Studios, I mean, it broke their cold streak because after Sound of Freedom, like none of their movies were really clicking all that much, as I'm about to show you. As you can see here, you have Sound of Freedom, and then there's a big drop off after that. Huge drop off. So yeah, King of Kings, sure, it's nowhere near Sound of Freedom, but it's done a whole lot better than their other movies. So yeah, I would say well, how much did it cost though? I don't think I've ever gotten like a number as to how much it cost, but I'm gonna look it up off screen. This will only take a few seconds. The King of Kings. Let me see. What was the cost? Okay, around 25 mil I'm looking at. So it's definitely a success. So, yeah, I mean, for Angel Studios, this is good. It means they're definitely not a one hit wonder. So I don't know about their David movie. That thing's been kind of surrounded with a lot of legal controversy over like rights and stuff. There's like a whole article about it. I thought it was quite a fascinating read. We'll see how that does later in the year, but yeah, for King of Kings, Angel Studios, they definitely got a hit there. And now we got Warfare. No relation to Call of Duty. So, Warfare. I predicted an opening weekend of like 8 million, final total like between like 20 to 30 million, and well, it did just that, over like 8.3 million. Its total so far is 25 million. I don't see it going, it's not going to go much farther than that. So I hit my prediction, but I this is another movie that I think deserved better because I did watch this movie because it interested me. And I watched it, and the way it was like done, whereas basically a lot of war movies they take place throughout like days, weeks, months, years. This one was just like one event in real time going down, so it was quite different from like other war movies I've seen, and just how it was filmed, how everything was done. I was really invested, and I thought it was a great flick. And it sucks it didn't do as well as like Alex Garland's Civil War, which came out last year. But I kind of expected that because Civil War was had way more marketing towards it, like way more advertising. Because for that movie, it was A24's go big or go home movie. This was like less so, far less so. So this result doesn't surprise me too much, but I still wish it did better. But what can you do? Yeah, I feel like this will go down as like one of the better war movies ever made, really. So, yeah. Shame it didn't do better, but I did my part. So, yeah, so that was April 11th. Not exactly the most exciting weekend in the world. A real come down after April 4th. Then April 18th, things got interesting again. And it wasn't because of Colorful Stage, the movie. I'll tell you that. But we'll talk about it anyway. So, Colorful Stage, the movie, and Miku Who Can't Sing. This is based on Hatsune Miku, who I've seen online via memes. It's like her first movie. She's like a Vocaloid, like a robot basically. And I predicted an opening weekend of like I think it was like between 2 to 3 million, final total of like 5 to 6, closer to 5, and it opened to 2.8 million, and it disappeared after that. It completely evaporated, as you can see. So it only made like about 3 million total. So yeah, not much to say. It just kind of came and went, and we move on. Next, we got the Pride and Prejudice re-release, and yeah, with this one, I flopped pretty hard in my prediction. I thought this will only open with like $1 million, make like 2 million total, something like that. Open with 2.8 million, so I was very much wrong. And it obviously crashed after that. So it added about 6 million to the movie's like final total, its original total. So for like re-release standards, considering this wasn't even, the Pride and Prejudice was never even like a big movie, like a big blockbuster flick. So these results, they're not bad. They're not bad at all. For a standard like re-release like this. I mean, of course, we had another re-release that came out later in the month, which did amazing. But we'll talk about that later. But yeah, Pride and Prejudice, its re-release did good. I guess it shows that this movie definitely has its fans, 20 years later. And yeah, not much else to say about that. Okay, and then oh boy, here we go. Sinners, man. Okay, Sinners. All right. Ugh. So, this movie right here, I was excited to watch it because, it's from Ryan Coogler, a man behind Black Panther, Creed, Fruitvale Station. This is his one, two, three, fifth consecutive collaboration with Michael B. Jordan. So what I saw in trailers looked really good, and it drew me in. So I was excited for it, but box office wise, I wasn't sure about its prospects because this is an original flick, which meant a expensive original flick cost like $90 million. So I was thinking, okay, this is going to be a big test, a big challenge for Ryan Coogler because he doesn't have a IP he can lean on this time. So this will be like a make or break movie for him if he can, if his name can sell a movie. So that was the big test. Not to mention, for Warner Brothers, it was a big risk because they have quite a few movies this year that are like, like non-IP movies that cost like quite a lot of money, like Mickey 17, and then you have like One Battle After Another later this year, which costs like $130 million. So yeah, it was a little risky. But when the movie was coming out, reviews came out and they were like through the roof. They were like 199% at one point. I was just like, oh my god, that's crazy. So the movie started to build hype and more and more and more hype. And so my prediction, I was thinking, okay, it might open by 40 million. But then I noticed the movie was gaining a lot of momentum, a lot of audience momentum. So I upped it to like 40 to 45 million opening weekend, final total of like 120 to 160. And the movie just kept growing after that. Thing is, the weekend estimate was like 45 million, which would have been good by itself. But then it went up after that to 48 million. I was like, okay, that result tells me that this movie has serious momentum. The momentum is legit. And then as the week went on, I saw its weekday numbers, and I'm just like, this is very abnormal. Even for like an Easter movie, these weekday numbers are abnormal. And then the second weekend happened, and things just got fucking crazy. Had a 32% Friday to Friday drop. Keep in mind, this is post holiday. Historically, that means you're going to see some big drop offs. But Sinners decided to not be normal, decided to, defy logic and have a strong second Friday, which resulted in a strong second weekend where it only fell 5%. Now, I know I showed you King of Kings. Now, that dropped 9%. What's the difference? King of Kings had Easter to fuel its numbers for its second weekend. Sinners did not. The holiday was over and done with. So the only drop 5% second weekend is mind-blowing. And it already like surpassed my final prediction in the second weekend. And it continues to, do hella strong, 28% drop. And this weekend, a 36% drop. I mean, people were legit seeking out this movie. This movie was selling out theaters. People have been wanting to find like the 70 mil. It was what was it? Shoot. I know it was like the 70 like Sinners 70 millimeter IMAX. I think that's what it is. But it's like very rare. Like it's not something that's like, you can just like find. But that's how the movie was filmed. And now because of how well it did there, it's getting a re-release this weekend in IMAX. So that tells you that, yeah, people are seeking this out because this movie is fucking amazing. I saw it, blew me away. It is my movie of 2025. Finally, dethroned Companion. And it's well deserved. The acclaim is well deserved. And now it's made over 214 million, and it's not even done. It's not even over. And it's made like 283 million worldwide on a budget of 90 million. So it's very much a success. Like this and a Minecraft movie, it saved like there's like two film heads of Warner Brothers. It saved their jobs because for a little bit their jobs were very much in jeopardy. It was not a matter of if, it was a matter of when those two were going to get fired because they had so many misses under their belt. But Minecraft and Sinners saved their asses. So yeah, I know they're quite happy about the performance of Sinners. So yeah, and Sinners may actually end up being one of the biggest movies of the year domestically. It depends on what happens with other big movies that come out this year. But still, these numbers, over 200 million domestically for an original horror flick, amazing. Just amazing. And it is very much well deserved. This movie deserves all the success it's gotten. I'm very happy for it. And it shows that, Ryan Coogler, his name can sell tickets. He's definitely going to sell tickets now. So, yeah. Sinners, big old hit. And it's the second biggest story of April besides, a Minecraft movie success. So, yeah, again, Warner Brothers, they dominated April entirely. Like, it wasn't even close. And now I gotta scroll all the way down. Sorry about the screen, but gotta scroll down. Well, we got some other movies that came out. They don't matter at all, but I gotta talk about them anyway. Sneaks. This movie looked like ass. I mean, you could just tell from the poster that it was gonna be ass. And I knew nobody gave a good goddamn about this thing. And I predicted an opening weekend of I think it was 400, 600K, final total like a million. I don't remember. I don't really care to remember. And it opened with 530K. It disappeared right after that. Didn't even make a million, only be 883K. And that's it. We're going to move on. Next, we got Wedding Banquet. I predicted an opening weekend of I think it was a million or so. Final total 2 to 3 million. And it ended up opening with 918K. Its legs were just kind of blech after that. Not great. Only made 2 million. So it did way better than Sneaks, but still not a great result, at all. But I guess, could have been a bit worse, but still not great. So that was April 18th. Which was basically about one movie and one movie only. Now we move on to the final weekend of April. So we start off with Accountant 2. So with this, I predicted an opening weekend of 20 to 25 million, final total of 60, 70 million. It hit 24.5 million, so it was right there. Its second weekend was rough, though. Fell 61%. It recovered a bit in week 3. Now it's made a little over 50 million. So it could crawl to 60 million. That could still happen. But yeah, I feel like it won't go that much further than 60 million. So yeah. So, I mean, these numbers by themselves, considering that this is coming out 9 years after the first movie, these numbers aren't that bad. Because you think, 9 years, who's going to give a shit? Right? The Accountant, the first movie, it wasn't even this big movie, say Inside Out, where that had a 9-year gap between movies. It wasn't even like that. So the fact that this movie's made this much at all, I'd say is an achievement within itself. but its budget was only like 80 million, so that's not good for this movie. Although for Amazon, they don't really care that much about box office. What matters is that this movie makes back its marketing cost. If it can do that, then it's a success in their eyes. So if that's the case, then the box office is just irrelevant. But kind of like how it worked with Red One last year. Albeit Red One, that was like a much bigger movie, so it was scrutinized a whole lot more than this. But yeah, so Accountant 2, I mean, compared to the first movie, it could have been a lot worse, but I wouldn't call it like a hit really, but it definitely avoided like a worst case scenario type thing. Okay, then we got Legend of Ochi. I predicted an opening weekend of like, I think it was like a million, maybe. I don't know. Final total like 2, 3. Well, it opened with 1.4 million, and a final total only made like 2 million. It just died after opening weekend. And this is from A24. A24, their 2025 has not been very good. They've yet to have like a really strong, hit this year. Although they might get it, I'm willing to bet that bring her bring her back. That's the movie. Bring Her Back. I feel like that will be a hit because that is from the guys who made Talk to Me. So I feel like the success of that might translate over to Bring Her Back, and I'm very much looking forward to Bring Her Back. So yeah, I'm really hoping. I feel like that movie will be like their first real hit of 2025 because so far it's not been great, and this movie didn't help them at all. So yeah, not much to say about that. I have quite a bit to say about Revenge of the Sith, though. Let's talk about that. Okay, so Revenge of the Sith came out in 2005. It was one of the big hits of 2005. Domestically, it was the biggest hit. And the movie broke records at the time, had the biggest opening day of all time, still has the biggest opening Thursday ever, 20 years later. Had 50 million in one day, which was like insane back in 2005. Almost like 108 million, which was also considered crazy back then, which tells you how different things were. And it made like 380 million domestically back in '05. And now it got a re-release 20 years later. So which makes sense to me. And I didn't think much of it. I just thought, oh, we'll probably just make like maybe like 10 million or something like that. Kind of like what happened with the 25th anniversary re-release of Phantom Menace last year. No, this movie went crazy. Real crazy. It did way better than I ever could have anticipated. So I predicted opening weekend of like 20 million, and then final to like less than 30 because I knew this movie was not going to be in theaters for very long. But this movie opened with $25 million. It was the second best performing movie of that weekend. I mean, for a re-release, I can't recall too many re-releases opening doing better than this. I think the only one I know is like the Lion King 3D re-release back in like what 2011. That's really it. And keep in mind, this is like 20-year-old movie getting re-released. It wasn't like in 3D. It didn't have like these special enhancements or anything. But it managed to do just spectacular. And as to why that happened, I mean, I know Revenge of the Sith, it does have a good reputation. It is by far and away the best prequel movie, the best Star Wars prequel movie we've gotten, unless you count like Rogue One, which that's technically a prequel too, but it's not part of the trilogy. It's kind of takes place in between 3 and 4, but the prequel trilogy had such like a negative reputation for a long time. Phantom Menace had so much hype, didn't live up to said hype, and then Attack of the Clones, that movie was just a bad movie, honestly. But Revenge of the Sith, people liked it. People liked it quite a bit because it was the most emotional, had the most depth, had the best everything out of the prequels because it was all about Anakin's descent and becoming Darth Vader, and that's the crucial thing that happened in the whole prequel trilogy. So I know Revenge of the Sith is beloved by fans. I didn't realize it was beloved this much to where 20 years later it opens like 25 million. Wasn't expecting that at all. And I gotta scroll here. And as a result, it added about over 30 million to Revenge of the Sith's final total. So for a re-release, it was an amazing success. I don't know what other Star Wars re-releases Disney can do. I don't think they're gonna want to re-release Attack of the Clones. I wouldn't. No one wants to see that movie again. Except maybe if you want for the memes. But as a movie, it's just not good. No one's gonna want to watch that. But I don't know. And the thing, this movie didn't even have like big advertising. It was apparently all entirely like in theater advertising. So that's even more impressive. So yeah, Revenge of the Sith, it's the third, well, I guess the fourth biggest of, it is the third biggest event of April, behind Minecraft and Sinners. I mean, sure, King of Kings did better. Quite a few movies did better in the long run, but those were new movies. This is a 20-year-old movie, and it kicked most of the other April movies' asses. So I say that's a amazing victory. And then we have Until Dawn. Ugh. Based off of the game of the same name, even though this is definitely one of those adaptation in name only type of video game movies. I thought about watching this, but then I was just like, you know what? Nah, I'm good. After reading reviews. And so, yeah, I didn't think people would care that much about it. I just feel like it was just there to die, honestly. So I predicted an opening weekend of, I think it was like 8 to 10 million, I think. Final total, maybe 8 million, 7, 8 million. Final total by 15 to 20 million. Well, it hit 8 million, and it's currently made 18 million domestically. Its legs have been surprisingly decent considering how lackluster word of mouth is. But yeah, and it's made like 38 million worldwide. I mean, on a budget of 15 million, that's not a bad result, but it's not great. I mean, for video game movie standards, like this is pretty low. Like its domestic numbers are quite low for the genre. I mean, keep in mind, things have changed. The standards for video game movies it is up quite a bit from where it was like say 10 years ago. Okay, that was before we had Detective Pikachu and Sonic and Mario and Five Nights at Freddy's and a Minecraft movie. Okay, those movies were blockbusters. They show you how high video game movies can go. But this is showing you how low they can go. So yeah. Yeah, so it's not a flop, a real flop, but I wouldn't call it a hit either. So it's just like a movie. It's a movie everyone's gonna forget about. I'm pretty sure most people have forgotten about it already. But people are definitely gonna forget about it before the year is over. And yeah, that's it. That's it for April. As I as I said, very strong month, especially compared to last year. Last year sucked. There was like nothing was happening. It was so boring. And this month was just the polar opposite of that. Now in May, as far as how May's doing so far, Thunderbolts has done meh, not terrible, but not great either. And May 9th, that weekend was just a waste of time entirely. But Final Destination Bloodlines, I can see that doing well. I mean, I know I'm excited for it. But the weekend everyone's going to pay attention to is Memorial Day. We have Lilo and Stitch and Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. That is expected to be not only a massive weekend, but potentially the biggest Memorial Day weekend ever. So All eyes are going to be on that weekend. And that weekend I know will be 1,000 times better than last year, which was a total embarrassment. When, Furiosa flopping hard out there. So, yeah, I'm very much looking forward to see how the Memorial Day box office goes. And then, unlike last year, we actually have movies opening post Memorial Day. We got Bring Her Back, and then we got Karate Kid Legends. Those two movies, the fact that they're even here guarantees that this year will be a hell of a lot better than last May. Like, that's just guaranteed to happen. So that's how May looks. So yeah, so that's it. That's all. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, share the whole drill. You want to check out more videos like this? I got a playlist on the homepage, all previous prediction videos, recap videos I made on the channel. For this year, the past few years, want to watch any of them, go right ahead. It's also box office predictions, where I predict box office for movies. Pretty much every movie I've done here, with the exception of like Princess Mononoke and the Chosen movies, I made prediction videos for. So if you want to watch any of those videos or any other prediction videos I made this year, the past few years, you can go right ahead. There's also the canceled series, where I went over all the movies that were supposed to come out but didn't. There's 250 episodes, so you want to binge watch that whole series. I highly suggest you do that, so go do it. And yeah, that's it. That's all. I am out. Goodbye.